Hey there, Sandy from sandybowie.com. So listen, have you been holding yourself back because you're actually afraid to ask people for money? I mean, I know there's a lot of talk in this business about being a high-end coach and raising your prices and charging what you're worth. But what about if you have a problem just asking people for any amount of money? You know, for me, when I started out, I was being encouraged to charge quite a bit for my services, but actually I was very uncomfortable even charging, £97 for an hour session, something like that. I just hated asking people for money. It was a massive block for me that I had to overcome. And I'll tell you just how daft it was, because at one point when I was I was doing tapping sessions with this lady, and she wanted to pay me for them, and I didn't want to accept the money. I actually said to her, "Oh, I don't think I've got any way of accepting that money," which is probably the most ridiculous thing I've ever said in my life, because all I needed to do, hold out the hand, put the money in there. But the thing is, I was working in the corporate world at that point in time. This was just something that I was doing on the side, so charging for it just seemed completely wrong to me. It was very strange. So I always had this huge block around asking and accepting money from people around the work I was doing. And that's what this tapping video today is about. So if this is you, if you're like, yeah, I want to make money, I want to be this online coach, I want to be this person that's maybe making the 10k months or whatever, but deep down it just feels really uncomfortable asking people for money, then that's what we're going to tap on today, because you're not going to get anywhere until you fix this block. Let's be honest. Running a business, not asking people for money, it kind of doesn't go hand in hand at all, does it? So, taking full responsibility for your own well-being, of course, let's just get started. So just tapping on the karate chop point. Even though I want to make £100,000 in my business this year, I'm really uncomfortable asking people for money though, and I just wish there was something that I could do about that. Even though the thought of asking people for money it just feels like really wrong to me. It feels really uncomfortable, and to be honest, I wish that I didn't have to do it ever. I'm willing to believe that there is a way for me to be able to feel good about it. Even though there are times in the past when I've asked people for money and they've said no. And that's made me feel really bad in a number of different ways. I'm willing to believe that decision of theirs to say no had nothing to do with me. Okay, I hate asking people for money. It feels really dirty to me to do that. It feels shameful. It just feels wrong, and it makes my skin crawl. It feels like begging, and I can't stand the thought of begging. I can't stand the thought of begging for money from anyone. I hate asking for money. It makes me feel really uncomfortable. And I know other people feel comfortable asking for money, but not me. So there has to be something in my past to make me feel this way. To make me feel that it's shameful to ask people for money. And so shameful and wrong that I'd rather sabotage my business than ask people for money. I just can't bring myself to do it. It just goes against everything that I'm believing in. I'm ready to let that belief go. That belief that it's shameful and wrong. Because it's causing me a lot of harm. And it is sabotaging the results I'm getting in my business. And it's hurting me. And it's hurting my family as well. Because I'm just not bringing in the level of income that I need to do all the things that I want for me and my family. Because I'm scared of what people will think of me when I ask them for money. Now, this is just some shit programming from my past. And I know I need to get over it. I'm willing to believe that there is a way for me to feel good about this. That I can feel good about asking people for money. Instead of feeling like some helpless little pauper who can't provide for themselves. You know, asking people for money makes me feel less powerful. Makes me feel less in control. And I don't like that feeling at all. Maybe there was a time in my past when I asked someone for money and it was someone really close to me that I asked and they said no, and that really hurt. It really hurt for them to say no. It made me feel worthless. It made me feel that they didn't love me enough to give me some money. It made me feel that I didn't deserve to be given that money. I mean, no matter how much it was that I was asking for. It made me feel that I wasn't loved by that person. That they didn't care. And yet I never asked them why they never gave me that money. Maybe they simply didn't have any money in their pocket at the time. And maybe they were too embarrassed to tell me. So I made up this whole shit story about how I didn't deserve to have money. And that wasn't based on any facts. Because I never asked them. How stupid is that? You know, I've been carrying this around with me all this time. And I don't even know the true facts behind why that person said no. I was too young to understand. And I got too emotional about it. Because it hurt my feelings. But maybe now I can look at that situation and look at it, you know, with a bit more clarity around what actually happened. That it didn't mean anything. It didn't mean anything at all. It was just one stupid situation that I managed to find myself in. And actually, it didn't matter. Maybe that person just didn't have any money at all. And actually, I embarrassed them by asking them. I never thought of that before. I never thought of it that way before. Maybe they were struggling with money. And I just caught them out. Okay. So listen, just take a deep breath. And let it all out. Now, there may have been some stuff came up for you there. I can certainly remember, and what I was referring to was a situation when I was young, a young teenager, and I asked my dad for some money, and it was only £1 because I wanted to go into the city centre with my friends, and I needed some bus fare. And I just casually asked him, and he said no. And that event stuck in my mind for a whole amount of time. But you know, I got so upset about the fact that he said no, I never bothered to ask him the reason why. I just made up this whole piece of nonsense about how I didn't deserve to have money, how my dad didn't love me, blah, 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 when, you know, it was all made up. None of it was true. And until I forced myself to do some work around that and to do some healing on the actual situation and change my beliefs around it, was I able to let go of this feeling that it was wrong to ask people for money. And so for me, that block that I had around asking people for money, about it being, you know, I used the words that used to apply to me about it being, you know, dirty and shameful and slightly humiliating, and around other people having control when you ask for money. I was able to shift all of that. So listen, if this is something that's been bothering you too, do this routine a few times, and I'll be making other routines on this same topic as well, because it's such an important one. If we do not shift this block, then we will not meet our goals. Because if you feel shameful around asking people for money, and then just, you know, you find yourself in a situation where you make stuff and give it away for free, or you have sessions with people and you let them have them for free, and that is not a great place to be in if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you want to have a successful business. So if this has been holding you back, tap on it, get to the bottom of it, overcome it. And if you want to book a fear busting session with me, this is exactly the sort of thing that we can work on. You go to my website, sandybowie.com, book a session with me, and we can get this block bust wide open so that you can start charging for your services. So let me know in the comments below if you've got anything to say. I'd love to hear from you, and I will see you next week. Bye bye.